In today's video, let's talk about lunch options. I see many people when I travel on the road or if I go to a Whole Foods, if I'm having a business meeting, for example, trying to decide what to eat for lunch. So I decided to grab 4 different popular lunch items from a local Whole Foods. And I'm sharing with you also what I normally bring or eat for lunch during the day, because as you know, what you eat for lunch will impact how much energy you do or don't have later in the day. It's going to impact your food cravings later in the evening part of the day and determine whether or not you slip and have cookies and ice cream, or have alcohol, or go to the gym or not go to the gym. So let's talk about the most popular lunch option that I don't recommend. That is a sandwich. Okay, so many people for lunch go to Jimmy John's, they go to Subway, they'll go to a Whole Foods, they'll go to a little market and get a sandwich. Now, the reason why I generally don't recommend starting with a sandwich for lunch is because for most people, they have corporate desk jobs and they are sitting. So they really don't need a lot of carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates in the form of bread. Now, I know sandwiches and bread are really popular, but when we look at this particular sandwich, you're getting much more carbohydrate than protein. This is going to be a processed, unfermented flour. Most commercial bread products here in the US and also in Europe are made with flour that's risen via baker's yeast, and that doesn't help break down the gluten. It doesn't lower the glycemic index. It doesn't improve the bioavailability of all the minerals that are found in a fermented sourdough type bread. So if you don't have access to fully fermented sourdough bread for lunch, then I would definitely skip the bread and the sandwich, because what's going to happen come 2 o'clock, in about 90 minutes or 2 hours after eating the sandwich, you're going to be crashing. You're going to be looking for a Monster energy drink or a coffee, and you're probably not going to make it to the gym. You're probably not going to make it to do your activities throughout the day. Now, before we go on and talk about the second most popular lunch item that I see people buy that I also don't recommend, I want to thank this video show sponsor, the good folks over at MauiNuiVenison.com, the makers of the cleanest and highest quality red meat in the world. This is free-range, wild axis deer that you can get delivered directly to your home. And this is the best tasting, and as I mentioned, the cleanest and highest protein to calorie content meat that you can possibly buy. This axis deer meat has actually been studied and quantified by researchers at Utah State University. It has among the highest quality of mitochondria-related enzymes and different phytonutrients and proteins that are really good for your health. So now what's really unique, my friends, right now, Maui Nui is offering a free 12-pack of their jerky sticks with your first order of $79 or more. Just go to MauiNuiVenison.com/HIH to grab yours. That's MauiNuiVenison.com/HIH for your free venison starter pack. You can go try them now. This is among the cleanest and best tasting wild harvested deer meat that you will ever eat in your life. It tastes amazing. My family, we consume these all the time, especially when we're on the road. It's a really reliable source of great tasting protein. Definitely check it out. Now, speaking of protein, one thing that is lacking in protein is a salad. I know a lot of folks like to eat salads for lunch, and they think that it's super duper healthy. And so I actually picked one of the healthier versions of a salad. I don't eat salads. I'll explain to you in a moment, but let's look at this salad from Urban Remedy. Okay, so you're getting lettuce. It looks like there's some pumpkin seeds here. There might be some shredded beets and some shredded carrots. And of course, we have the dressing. I'm very curious now what's in the dressing. Surprisingly, this particular salad is extra virgin olive oil, apple cider vinegar, etc. Now, the downside of a salad is it only has 7 grams of protein, and there's only 270 calories in the entire salad. So the thing about lunchtime is, from a circadian rhythm standpoint, your gastrointestinal tract and your body's circadian rhythm physiology related to digestion and metabolism is really optimized to receive a lot of nutrition. Gastrointestinal motility, bile acids, hydrochloric acid secretion, the incretin hormones like GLP-1 and CCK and PYY, all of these hormones are prime. Leptin is really low during the lunch hour. So you should have a pretty decent sized meal and some good energy so that you can properly have a good workout later in the day and have enough energy to do daily activities. And so if you're just getting 270 calories at lunch, well, what's going to happen? Well, come dinner time, you're likely going to overconsume calories and energy in the form of, you guessed it, hyper-palatable, ultra-refined foods. You might slip up and have an ice cream cone or a bunch of cookies or some alcohol and things of the sort, and that's not going to help you with your body composition. So minimal protein, very low calorie, and when it comes to micronutrients, there's not a lot there. And if we're being brutally honest, when you think about lettuce and Swiss chard and all these greens, you have oxalates, and then you also have potentially pesticides, depending upon where they're grown. You know, I've told you before about the book called Fateful Harvest that discusses how it's perfectly legal, and the USDA actually knows about it, that chemical companies actually dispose of their industrial toxic waste in the form of fertilizer that is sprayed on many commodity crops here in the USA. I mean, it's really, really sad. So this is my personal rule, if I don't grow the greens myself, or if I don't get it from a farmer who, you know, is at a farmer's market, or a neighbor or someone who I know does not use, you know, herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides and fertilizer from these major companies that are possibly dumping in toxic chemicals into their products, I don't consume those vegetables. So what are some better options? So let's get rid of the crap, shall we? And show the better options. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of chicken, but when in a pinch, you know, at the grocery store, at a Whole Foods, or if you're in Florida, you go to a Publix, right? I would just recommend getting the chicken. Now, again, it's not the best source of protein when stacked in comparison to red meat or even Maui new venison. However, chicken's decent, and you're getting decent amount of protein, decent amount of calories, and you're not getting any of the other things that are going to cause you to crash in the afternoon. So just having, this is 27 grams of protein, or I'm sorry, 25 grams of protein in this serving, about 250 calories. So you're getting sufficient amount of protein so that you don't have or don't require an afternoon nap and things of the sort. So chicken would be a good option. This is what I personally do, especially when I'm traveling. If I'm not working out a lot on the road or whatnot, I would do either between a half and 1 pound of grass-fed ground beef with half a container of olives. And I'll mix those together with some sauerkraut or kimchi, maybe just a touch of Greek yogurt or mayonnaise and some sea salt, and it tastes absolutely amazing. And guess what? You have sustained energy, sustained focus throughout the rest of the day. You do not need your Monster energy drink or a Starbucks drink, you know, in the afternoon. You're just cruising, you're doing your thing. You can focus, you can be productive, you can accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish later in the day. So when we stack these head to head, these are going to be the order, in my opinion, from most unhealthy to most healthy. And so the sandwich, the wrap, the burger, you know, probably I would definitely just avoid that. Now, you could buy the sandwich and take the bun off or the bread off, or you could just buy some deli meat. And so I've done that when I'm in California or Arizona on the road, just, you know, go to a Sprouts and get some deli meats and so forth and pull that off. You know, the salad, it's probably better than the bread, but again, there's no protein. And we don't know the source of the vegetables. Have they been sprayed or not sprayed? How are you going to get your protein? Are you going to compensate later in the day in some other way? Chicken is a good backup option for you. And then, you know, the kind of the creme de creme is going to be some red meat, some Maui new venison, some wild caught Atlantic salmon, some olives, maybe some fermented wheat product, or even a little honey, or some sprouted and soaked rice. You know, these are options that I would consider. So I would like to know what you eat for lunch, and let me know if you found some value from this video. And I appreciate you supporting our show sponsor, MauiNewVenison.com/HIH to save. Again, you can get a free 12-pack starter jerky kit. This is a venison stick pack. They're awesome. They're amazing with every order over $79. Click the link in the description below, and we'll catch you in a future video down the road.